at 1:05 local time. We've just gone past that, but no sign of the green flags just yet. So more information. We will give you more information when we get it up here.
Well, the riders look like they're heading towards the end of pit lane, so it may just be a temporary delay of around a minute or so, because, yeah, as Neil quite rightly mentions, the session should be underway right about now. The clock still isn't counting down, and of course you can see the marshal with the red flag at the end of pit lane. So whatever the delay was, technical issues are giving us the explanation. That's a nice catch-all phrase when you don't want to quite explain what has gone on. So yeah, technical issues have delayed us by, we think, a minute. Riders at the end of pit lane, clearly, either they've not been told there's a delay, or they're anticipating it's only going to be a delay of around a minute or so. And in fact, it looks as if they are being wheeled back in. Clearly, the memo did not reach the CF Moto squad, nor Honda T does wave. Someone needs to tap the CF Moto boys on the back and tell them, hey, track's open, boys, you can go out. Mario Achi's off on his way. And a rather farcical start to the free practice 2 session as Carlos Tate suddenly realises he can get back on his bike and the track's open. Off you go.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we had MotoGP FP1, the 3rd session of the day earlier this morning, they got down to some pretty respectable lap times by the end of that session. So this obviously is the first time the Moto3 guys have had a dry session, a chance to test this track out. Obviously managed to get around the layout earlier. Conditions were far from perfect. Obviously a lot of dirt was on the track, and well, we spoke to Scott Ogden after FP1 and he was saying absolutely no grip, very slippery indeed. The amount of times that he ran on, and many others, at turn 16, well, there were too numerous to count, just because there was not so much grip there, and I think that went right the way across the board. I bumped into 1 or 2 MotoGP mechanics on the way to lunch, and they were saying the same thing. Very, very slippery indeed. So it might take a few sessions to bed this track in.
Yeah, turn 16 was a running theme right throughout the 3 sessions we had. So a number of riders entering the box with mud all over the bottom of their bikes. A number of riders had to essentially change their visors because they were unable to see where they were going. We saw Dennis Foggia lifting his visor and visibly squinting and trying to open his eyes and clear some dirt and dust that clearly got inside his visor. And there we see straight away on screen Lorenzo Forlorn having a little bit of a moment on the front there as he tried to tip it into the tight turn 16. This is turn 17, the final corner. So they have been cleaning the track up, trying to improve the grip levels, but immediately Lorenzo Forlorn finding grip a little bit in short supply through the penultimate corner.
Yeah, Forlorn heading a quick little group here with Ivan Ortola, one of the guys that really impressed us in the first race of the season in Qatar. And then that's number 23 of Elia Bartolini just behind them. Bartolini starting his first season as a full-time Moto3 rider, 2022. Exciting young Italian prospect. One of the best hairdos in the paddock, I would say, as well. Full respect for that ponytail.
And a good morning for him as well. Him and his teammate Matteo Bertelli were both inside the top 8. They, much like many of the Moto3 riders, if you follow them on social media, it almost read like a tourism brochure earlier on in this week as they explored the local scenery and indeed the local wildlife. Both Bertelli and Bartolini spent more time in their pre-GP press release talking about the monkeys they saw in the lead-up to this GP than any particular features of the circuit, but they've certainly explored the limits now. We're seeing plenty of riders running on at turn 10. Mario Achi going back onto the track. You'll see just at the bottom of the screen Ortola as well making his way back onto the track. Turn 10 and turn 11, there where we're expected to see quite a bit of the overtaking here. 3 key overtaking spots, we imagine, certainly if you listen to Joan Mir around this circuit. Turn 1, which is the big braking zone at the end of the longest straight. Turn 10, which follows the fast-flowing, sweeping bends of turns 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And then turn 16, the corner where we saw Lorenzo Forlorn have a moment or two ago. We're expecting overtaking here, right here, into this turn 16. As I mentioned this morning, if you were with us for Free Practice 1, there are certainly shades of Termas de Rio Hondo with this part of the circuit.
Yeah, as you see a replay here of Mario Achi and another rider. Getting caught up. Is that Adrian Fernandez?
It's one of the Tech 3 riders, certainly. Yeah, I think it was Adrian Fernandez.
Having a bit of a
look. And Dennis Onchu is just up the road from this group as well. But yeah, we're already seeing the lap times quite understandably way quicker this morning as Diogo Moreira season, but trying to judge everyone by that far is perhaps a little bit unfair, but it certainly has to be said that Moreira and Ortola were the 2 standout rookies from the opening weekend of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. We had to keep telling ourselves that there was no official test at the Qatar or Losail International Circuit in Qatar prior to the race weekend, so the rookies were at a bit of a disadvantage compared to previous years when they would have had prior track experience there in Qatar. Not so this time. In some ways, you have to say, Diogo Moreira's 6th place, even more impressive than some of the rookie performances we've had at the Losail International Circuit in previous years gone by.
He didn't look out of place, did he, in that group? He was staying with them until the last 2 or 3 laps when he started to fade a little bit, but still held on to 6th. He looked like he belongs there. We've seen him win on many occasions in the Junior World Championship and indeed in Red Bull Rookies, but to come from 18th on the grid, he qualified 21st and then was promoted a row on the grid due to the penalties that we saw, well-documented penalties at the end of qualifying. But Moreira was confident and comfortable fighting against pretty experienced company.
Yeah, he really was. I mean, he ended pre-season testing as the 27th